Hi guys, Tiffany here. So I had to come on because I just realized earlier when I was explaining this top and saying just keep going all your rows, there's a spot where your rows change position in the lineup. So I want to make sure that I go through that step, or else you're just going to have this big, long, huge triangle thing growing. And then you'll be like, what did I do wrong? So let me just get this situated so I can see if anybody's saying hi while I'm doing this, obviously. And again, don't mind the music in the background. It's what I do when I'm quilting. I listen to music, and I try to turn it down for you guys. Normally it would be up, especially when I'm out in my garage. It's blasting. So, okay. So I want to make sure that you know when you're laying it out before you even start piecing it, and you're numbering your rows with these numbers that, I showed you I do. When you're numbering and putting it out, take a picture with a cell phone or a camera or something that you can refer to often. Because there's going to be a juncture in which, once you start, and I'm going to bring this down so you can see, remember how they all line up and they keep going for a while? And it starts out in the top corner with just one piece, and then it goes to 3, and then it goes to 5, 7, 9, 10, 10, 10. Well, when you get to a certain point and you're ready to add your next piece, it's going to be natural for you to just put this up there, line it up thinking it goes in that row. Well, guess what? That specific section, you need to make sure you refer to your picture often, because that specific section is going to come down, actually, because now we're at the point of finishing that quilt top off, so we have to bring it down. So I went and referred to my picture just to make sure that nothing gets off on here, and I didn't remember which row started going down in my head because I don't remember those things. So for beginners, refer to a picture, especially if you're trying diamonds, because you can get yourself all out of whack. So I referred to my picture, and now, instead of starting up here where this piece would sit up, I'm actually pushing it down, and this piece now, because now I'm going to be finishing it off, and remember that side has like broken triangles at the bottom, on the sides. It comes out like this and it just keeps going. I'm starting down now because I'm trying to finish off my diamonds. So my rows are still going to go the same way, but I need it to pop down now, so that this one is the last one for this row, and it will be chopped down when it's trimmed straight down this, so that the next one right here will start with black, and the next one right here after that will start with black, and so on and so forth. So I want to make sure that everybody knows when you're starting with your next row, you need to start when you're getting to that point. Open up your camera or your cell phone or your tablet or wherever you took your picture, and even if you drew one, refer to that row numbers. See, mine is row number 11 that's starting down now. Refer to it row number 11 or row number 10 or row number 5, whatever row you're at, starts down, and mark down how many numbers it starts. So instead of starting up here at this top junction where everything else has been, I'm going 1, I'm considering this one piece, 2. So my first piece starts 2 down. So right here, 1, 2. It's on the second one down. So now we're going to do the same process, and I'm just going to do it while you guys are here visiting me and watching. I'm just going to lay it on here, and I'm going to do that same pinning process that I showed you earlier. And we will start going through that, and don't mind me. It is nighttime. I am in my pajamas. My bed is a mess. My room is a mess because I had been relaxing for a little while. And then I got up and I made a pair of kids' pajama pants. I don't make clothing. I told you I've made a dress and a romper, and I made some underwear, which turned out absolutely horrible. But I kind of like envisioned something, and I saw it in my head, and I was like, hey, well, how about I try this? So I drew up my own pattern on tissue paper that you would use to stuff presents with, and I drew with the inseam and everything. I just made them a little bit short on the waist. They come down like low riders, but they're for babies in diapers, so I need to bring that seam higher. But other than that, I actually got it. I figured it out. So maybe I guess I can make a tutorial on how to put pants together when I get my own personal pattern corrected, because I did this myself and I do not sew clothes. And I'm gonna tell you right now, this may seem hard, this quilting to some, but guess what? Sewing clothes, for me especially, is harder. So anyway, I'm gonna get to doing this, and you guys can just watch me pin, and I'll explain as I go, just like in my last videos. We are trying to make sure that we align the sashing that is pre-sewn into these diamonds. So I'm gonna face this to me, and we'll see how this goes together. And I need to grab some water anyway. And I have noticed that my quality of my camera is super clear. Surprising. It makes me happy to know that you guys can actually see what's going on around here. So, like before, instead of starting at the top one, I always start at the next junction. And as you can see, one seam goes one way, one goes the other. I'm trying to create a 1/4 inch pocket right here. And I'm going to come a 1/4 inch away with my needle from the edge, which is about right here. I'm going to pop that in. Kind of went a little too far, moving the fabric. Remember, this is all stretchy, so I'm going to roll it back and wow, that's way far down. So I'm going to definitely have to move this one up. This is my first time, is always the guess. Trying to get it right, just so that I can get the rest of them. They usually fall into place after your first bit. Okay, that's where I want it. And after a while, you'll get used to it. Just eyeballing, you can do it. That would did my finger really hard. I'll pull a couple of these out. And I'm going to pin at the junction and then halfway. And then again, this top junction right here, this top junction, we want to open it and we want this seam to go straight across. So I need to pop that one down just a smidge. And it may seem weird because like it's going to fold or something, but it's really not. The feed dogs will take whatever fabric on the bottom that seems loose in. So it will even itself out. See, so how it looks funny? It'll even itself out when you start sewing. So now I'm going to now start going this way. Just laying that piece on here. Making sure it's nice and flat. And then just align the fabric and 1/4 inch away from the edge. And just start going. And every single juncture where I want that seam to line up from where I made those things, I will check them. Correct. Wow, I sure have a lot of bent pins. That's what I get for sewing over them when I forget about them, or they end up falling or something. This is not my normal pin thing. I usually use the flat thing, but those pins are kind of small, so I like these bigger ones for this project because I like to make sure everything is like really, really set. And we try to keep it nice and flat from this nice and flat position over to the sewing machine. So again, 1/4 inch pinning so that we can see our lines. We're trying to keep them nice and straight. Fold back and look, that one needs to come down just a little. When I mean down, I mean tugging the fat just ever so slightly. My fingers to push the fabric. This would be up and this would be down. So just use your fingers to tug it just a smidge where you want it to lay. Now it needs to go back up because I pushed too hard in the beginning. There we go. After a while, it becomes easier. You get this many rows done. The pinning just comes out nice every time. So it should lay just right because I actually made all the rows that I need to finish. And then I put 3 on, and now I'm on my way back the other way, which is what I'm showing you guys now. So, and then I'm just going to carefully lay this on here. Depending on the brand of fabric, you'll have more stretching than regular. But that's okay. It should fall together just nice. Like I said, the feed dogs do the work with the pulling and stuff of the fabric and aligning it just right so all those layers come together properly. Just fold it back and look. This one's totally not going where I want it to go. There we go. A little bit higher. Just a slight hair. When I say a hair, I mean I barely had to move it. But like I said, this is going to be entered into a show, so I need perfection on this quilt. If you aren't looking for perfection, then do your best. Line it up as best as you possibly can get it. You know? It's not that hard. It's quite simple once you get used to it. And when it's where you want it, finish it down. And remember, the end won't touch, but when it folds over and sewn, it actually will, giving you that last quarter of an inch. So let's take this over to the machine. And I'm going to just carefully bring it on to my lap, because I want this to lay nice and flat still. And you don't have to start really high up, remember. You start only where that seam needs to start. So if this one's right here, and how my pin came out I don't know, but it's still in there sort of. So we'll just lay that on there, pull this down, start right before it, keeping that laid down, and just lay them so that you don't adjust your pins at all. Try to keep your rest of your quilt either on your lap or on a table, because you want it to lay flat, which is very important. And you just sew your 1/4 inch seam, pulling out your pins right before you get to them. I've been slowing down at these junctures just to make sure that it's pulling them in nicely and I don't have to rip any of them out. Shot somewhere. I don't know where it shot to. Oh, there it is. One thing about carpet, I don't want to step on these. So I gotta make sure that I clean them all up. So, like I was saying, refer to pictures. I mean, if you have to, you can draw it up. Do not sew over your pins, people. Like I was saying in my earlier videos, they can snap and they can and will shoot into your face. It has happened to me plenty of times. We're just laying it. We're letting the machine do the work for us. I got some shredding going on because I'm moving everything so much that my fabric is starting to shred. Not bad, but it happens with cotton. And some brands more than others. But if I have to, I'll trim that stuff off, but nobody's going to look inside your quilt. And once it's sewn together and in a quilt and quilted, it doesn't do it anymore. So that's another positive. That whole shredding thing stops. Now, if it's really cheap material, which I did in the beginning when I first started quilting, I didn't know the difference. So if it's really cheap material, you'll know because your quilt will shred in the wash. I've never used it since, let me tell you, that material. And if your seam is not correct, that will also open in the wash. If your seam is too small and not that 1/4 inch, or at least close to it, it could fall apart in the wash. Now before I take this and put another piece on, I'm going to check it and make sure everything is where I want it to be and where it should be laying. So I'm just going to go through, opening it up, checking all of my junctions. That one could use to go a little bit lower. So I will take that and adjust it and check the rest real quick. That one can also go lower. That one's good. And that line is perfect and straight. So what one was it? This one. This one needs to come down just a hair. And like I said, you don't have to take the whole seam apart. Which one did I say it was again? You don't have to take that whole seam apart. You just need to at least 4 fingers worth right at that area. And it's really quick to do. It doesn't take very long. Unless you're like me and have issues with seam rippers that never want to work for you. Because that's what I have problems with, the seam rippers. They hate me. And I just take about 20 stitches out. I need to grab a couple more than that. And there we have a little bit of an opening. See, enough to stick my hand through. Still 4 fingers worth. I'm just going to lay it right here, and I remember it needed to come down just a little bit. I'm going to repin it real quick, right on that seam, and now you have no excuse not to know where your 1/4 inch seam is because you have stitching lines there. And there, that's where I want it. So I come up about 1 inch above. I don't even back stitch because in the end everything gets quilted into the quilt. So about 1 inch further down, I open it, look, and that's what I wanted. And it was this one that needed to come down. Just a smidge, and it's like, because I'm entering it, if it was not being entered into a quilt show, I wouldn't bother with this part. But just because I'm going to be entering it into a quilt show, I need to make sure I have all these, or else these videos wouldn't take very long. Trying to show you guys that I'm extremely paying attention on this quilt, so more than I would any other time. So let's get these stitches out. I'm not really using a really tiny stitch length, but let me tell you, for some strange reason, my seam ripper does not like this at a 2.0 at all. It's kind of weird. And sometimes I rip from the front just because that one seam is being nice and tough on me. Take my pin, adjust it because I needed this one to go down too, just a little bit. I look and see if that's where I want it, and it's exactly where I want it. And again, if there's any kind of ruffling or anything, that feed dogs will take that under. Now I'm going to go really slow right here because open it and look, and that's exactly where I want it. I should have put the, I always forget to pull those little threads that were seam ripped out. So this is the way I want it. So now the next one, you go and you look at your picture, or you just know where it's supposed to go. You grab your next piece. For me, it's number 12. And number 12 is going to start down. So starting up here in the black, like the top row did, it's going to come down another one. And to make sure for a fact that it goes there, just hold it there and go to your other end and see if it ends nicely with the other side. And it does. So that's how you know that's where it goes. If you don't, remember, or you didn't take a picture. So now I'm going to straighten it. I know where it goes, which is right here. I'm going to put it right sides together. Grab my pins. And I'm not starting with the top one, I'm going to start with the first row down's juncture. And then I'm going to pin it. Make sure it's where I want it to be. And see, sometimes it depends on whether it gets off, like the last time that they were where I wanted it to be. But my pin could have not been in that 1/4 of an inch when I looked, and it was maybe off slightly, just a hair, you know. So you never know. You just have to check. You could always rip if you need to. It doesn't take very long, as you saw, to do a little section. And if you're a beginner, it might take another extra minute more than it took me. But I'm being extra super cautious with this quilt, so obviously a beginner would be just as slow as I am when it comes to that. Just need to come down just a smidge. So I'm trying to make sure when I explain this all to you guys, and I'm not skipping a step. That's why I decided to come back on tonight and do this step with you. Because I was getting close to the end and I was like, wait a second, I don't think I told anybody this. So I wanted to make sure I come on and explain how this last few rows go on when you're getting to the end of your diamond quilt. It also helps with bigger sewing areas and tables and not having to bend over like I'm bending over so much right now lately that it's making my back hurt more. And the lack of sleep, I still haven't had any sleep. And I'm super tired, but I needed to get this done because I need to get it ready to start quilting it. Because I think I'm going to end up with a deadline. I'm going to have to contact the lady with the Quilt Guild and find out what everything is going on in the times and dates and stuff that I need to have to enter a quilt. That way I make sure I'm at least not pushing myself too much to the limit of time frame wise. Especially since I can't long arm right now. I have to either sit down and quilt or wait until the weather cools down. So again, I'm just laying it on here nicely. Just kind of letting the fabric fall together. Again, it does not come all the way to the end, but it will when it's sewn together. It creates its own 1/4 inch right here, which is what's going to be getting cut off. So you want that, just that little bit of space. Hi, Michelle. I would have messaged you back, but I decided I had to get this done because I totally forgot that I needed to explain all this. So if you caught on to what I'm doing here, I forgot that I needed to explain the going down a step. Get that noted when it comes to piecing this diamond, so we'll get this done and then we can chat. So I'm just starting out carefully, 1/4 inch, pulling my pins as I get to them. My quilt is laying as best as it can on my lap, and the rest of it is all up here on the table, trying to keep it nice and flat. Now I'm going to come just a little bit further, and I'm going to check that seam now, which is what I've been doing, and that's good. So cough is relentless. It just doesn't go away. Usually I have my water right next to me. So are you working on your piece? Did you get your pieces together, Michelle? seam ripped and re-put back together. I've been doing a lot of seam ripping with everything today. These ones are aligning nice. Maybe it's the closer I get done. So I'm going to check them all, make sure they're all good. This one's kind of up, but you know what? Once it's pressed, it might be okay. I don't know. It's one of those things where I think I'm going to adjust it anyway, just because. Which one is it? I forget that fast. Can you believe that? Sucks. I think I only have like 2 or 3 more to go. Seam rippers hate me. I think I might as well go to the garage tomorrow and remind myself to grab a different one. Maybe it's just this one itself. Remember, I'm just taking about 4 fingers out worth. I lay it nice and flat. I grab a pin. This one was down, I think. Yeah, it needed to come down. Lay it nice and flat again. Grab a pin, slide it down ever so slightly. Throw my pin in there. Now it's too far down. Guess it was not as slight as I thought. One of these hit and misses is either too far up or too far down. And that's perfect, so. And that's what's happening with this. I keep losing the thread out of the needle because my quilt top keeps grabbing at it. Wow, my shapes are bad right now. Alright, starting about an inch above where I started ripping. I'm going to go super slow on this, leaving that pin in to the last moment. And about an inch after. Oh yeah, much better, much better. Okay, so now let's get the next one on. So now this is as if it was straight. Right here, so the next one's going to go this way. Right here. Yep, 2 left, so you guys can stay with me while I finish this then. So I'm going to push it up out of the way a little bit further, keeping it crooked for a second, making sure that's my spot and that it's going to end correctly, and it is. So I'm going to turn it straight, lay it right sides together, less seams to pin, so this should go. Yes, fighting with the seams. I want them perfect, you know that. At least this time. Any other time I wouldn't care, really. As long as if it's close, you know. But right now, I really want these seams to be correct. I'll throw this other one in here and turn it and look. So that's too high. Come down. Ow, that hurt. I just poked myself really hard that time. Kind of just a little dab more down. Oh, didn't work like I thought. I just need it just one hair more down. Still not far enough. There we go. Let's try right here. There we go. That's where I want it. And I'm going to come up here and make sure this seam is good. This top one pretty much aligns every time if you get that second one. And look, it didn't actually. Wow. I guess I should look before I talk. There we go. And then we just lay it on here. Slide it down. And now I did not press anything yet, except for these rows that I put together, because I'm just going to press it all and end either way. So are you having a good night, Michelle? I can kind of see my chat over there, so not as good. My vision is horrible right now. My head and sinuses are all clogged. So straighten that up, put that pin back in. Less seams. Look at this, almost done pinning. And then the last one is a two-piecer. Wow, that's too far down. Let's go up a little. So did you get it fixed? Taken apart and put back together? You only had to take out, what, 2 pieces to fit that in? Come down to, take those out, and then swap them, right? That's all you had to do. Shouldn't take too long. I don't like this one right here. Let's adjust it. Alright. Keep it nice and flat. My last one is just 2, which is coming up very shortly. Let's get this one on here. And then I will be ready for the next step, which I pretty much think that I should walk you guys through that next step as well, probably. Because the next step is just a little bit tricky, lining it up and squaring all these up. Oh yeah, that's right, taking the half square triangle part off, that's right. Well, I'm hoping it's working out for you. You'll have to show me when you get it complete. Are you going to be doing a 16 by 16? And if people are wondering what I'm talking about when they watch the replay, my friend Michelle here is working on my last tutorial of the binding star tool. So just so everybody is aware of what I'm actually talking about here, I encourage somebody to do it. Yeah, this will be my quilt. It has to go into the quilt show first because what I was telling you about not washing, you can't wash a quilt. It has to be straight off quilting for it to be entered into a quilt show. It cannot be washed because washing distorts the quilt's quality to be judged. So after the quilt show, then it'll go on my bed because it'll be my quilt. You're not going to add any borders and stuff? I definitely like borders. That's the only reason why I asked, because I am a border girl all the way. And this one needs to go down a little. So let me pull that real quick. Just ever so slightly. I'm really having issues getting these seams just exactly, but I'm going for perfection here, people. Although the last couple quilt shows I've been to, it's not really about the perfection. I mean, I'm trying to do it, but I think it's about the quality of the work itself, the workmanship. So, and when it's into a certain area, so this will be entered into, I guess, large quilts, because I'm pretty sure this is going to turn out in the 90s by something. Well, at least with the borders. Oh yeah, that's right, it has to have a sleeve. I'm probably going to make something I can take off. I've only made 2 sleeves on quilts before, so... And it wasn't on big ones, it was on wall hangings. So I'm not really that familiar with adding a sleeve afterwards, or at least put it into the binding and then undo the binding on the back side and then sew it back down again, just that section for the sleeve, and then changed that just a little. The local Havasu, here in Havasu, a local show. These come down just a hair. There we go. I want it right there, so let's hold that right there. And not let that move. Perfect! Yay! Okay, one more row, and then I'm done. And it's cutting time. I'm so afraid to cut this thing up because it's so awesome. But that's the next step. See, so here's the last 2 pieces. I kind of got wrinkled sitting over there, but oh well, I'm just going to put them on. All I have to do is match here, here, and make sure this end comes where it's supposed to. Okay, yeah, I would say add. Are you going to make it with the French braid top border then? Like I did? Here, we'll make it easier. It's right here. I'll pull it out. So, let's see. This is the top. So you're going to do this top border right here. Are you going to watch the video to do it? Because that's that top border. And then the side borders are just the strips itself encased in a encased system that goes all the way down, which really highlights it, I think. So, all right. I'm happy you're doing it. I really am. I can't wait to see it. Especially all those colors. Those colors are going to be amazing together. I'll get this out of the way so I can finish those pieces. Ugh. Alright, let's see what we got going on right here. Let's put that on there just right. You know, I could probably enter that quilt too. Because that one came out amazing, and that one's just a build as you go when it came to the borders. Honestly. I could though. I could enter too, because that one's not going anywhere right away. My daughter wants it, but it's not like she's going to get it right away. It wouldn't be a bad thing to put 2 quilts in the show. You're pausing. Stop, start, stop, start. That's cool. I'm glad that you're learning and I was able to show it every step of the way, you know? I went ahead and looked at the one from Missouri Star Quilt Company. It goes by so quick you don't even get the full direction of how things go, and tutorial for a smaller version for just the star part. So, and then they do piano keyboarder all the way around on their tutorial, which she actually doesn't step by step on that either. Just the first, hey, sew these two together. So nothing wrong with her video or anything, but I find teaching beginners, you have to go every step of the way. So that is why I showed you every step of the way. Let's get this last piece on. Thank you, Michelle. You're awesome too. And watching, you're all awesome. Okay, let's get this. And I'm just going to do this one nice and slow to make sure that everything is exact. I don't have to rip this one because I don't want to have to rip the last piece. Nice and steady. Let's check this real quick. Oh yeah, right where it needs to be. It's so heavy now. Yeah, it's just a block. And then she has pre-made blocks of the rest. I went through the whole thing, so. I spent the time to do so for everyone. And honestly, I don't mean to sound mean or rude towards it. I like my version better. My version has the braided first top and bottom border, which completely like pops it, and it heightens and lengthens it, which is great for queen and full and so on size beds because they're longer than they are wider. Like king size is just a big square, so that's great for 16 blocks, you know, without anything else on it. I love watching their videos though. I love watching everybody's videos. I'm a videoaholic when it comes to YouTube for quilting purposes. Oh, it needs to go up. Look at that. Oy, oy, oy. The seam ripper is just wanting me to use it today. It says, Tiffany, pick me up. Yep, that's what the seam ripper is doing to me today. But at least this is the last piece. And then I just have to press it and get to the next step, which is trimming it down. Which is the scary part, honestly. The next step is the scariest part. Because if you make one mistake, it will ruin the whole thing. And that's just from personal experience. I don't know what I'm quilting on it yet. Like, I will tell you right now that, hold on a second. Let me finish ripping this and then I'll kind of explain it. That way I don't get myself sidetracked. So I want to do kind of like an heirloom quilting, but then I don't have rulers to do ruler work, so I can't do any of that. But I am pretty good at eyeballing and I use a ruler to draw with chalk on the quilt top if I have to do straight lines. So, and I just follow my lines. But I'm thinking some heirloom quilting of some sort. Only because this is my personal quilt, and when I'm done with it and it's still alive, it can be passed down. But we'll see. I might change my mind. Yes, it's going to have 2 borders for sure, but I might add more because I love borders. Plus I need to make sure it does hang over my bed just right, you know? Which my measurements, when I first started putting it together, it laid just right, so all I needed in my measurements from laying it on my bed needed 2 borders to to make it hang over just right. Oh, my goodness. And pull some more stitches out. Alright, I think that's going to be right where it needs to be. Really pushing it here with this one. Why has it got to be the last piece to be the hardest piece? I am not ripping it again though. Okay, it's on. Good. Come back far enough. There we go. All right. So I'm going to pull these numbers out for a minute. And then I will lay it on the bed so you can get the general idea of how it lays. Quilting wise, so I was thinking about doing a feather around each diamond and then doing dot to dot quilting right here, which is pretty much just echo quilting, honestly, echoing the seam. So I'm not sure though, because, and I'll tell you why in just a second, why I'm not sure. Why I'm going to be able to do that, especially if it's on the frame, is because, oh my goodness, so many rows, so many rows. Alright, all these are now trash, and before these end up on the floor, I will show you why I don't think I'm going to be able to. So, as you know, this machine goes on my long arm frame. So when it's on my frame, it's picked up and it's sat forward. You have one, you know. Well, it's only a 9-inch throat. Now you got to remember that the bar is a circular, almost 2 full-inch circular bar. So you got to put that right here. That bar is right here going across this. So now I only have, I think it's 6.5 inches. So if that bar is right here and there's a full roll up on it, I'm looking at almost 7 inches of quilting space. So when you take the block and it's on the machine and I'm moving it around, I have only 7 inches. So I can only quilt from here to this diamond part right here, like the middle of that diamond, so because it's going to hit the bar, so I'll stop here, and then when I roll the quilt up, I'd have to do to right here, so that leaves that little section at the bottom. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a full section, so I might, it depends on how much work I really want to put into this quilt. I might have to sit down and quilt it by machine in free motion style, which would give me the space to actually do, you know, once it's under there, it's going to give me the space to do a whole section block however I want at once. Get where I'm going? Now if I had the, you know, a 22-inch or 18-inch machine, I could easily do this whole block and go from block to block with ease. So, yep. Alright, let's lay this on the bed and see where we're at. And I'll adjust the camera in a second so that you can see. Yeah, I could put it on the frame sideways. I didn't think about that till just when you said that. I could put it sideways. It's not a bad idea, I guess. Alright, ready? Let's see how this is working out. You're going to know why I need, if my pillows weren't in the bed, it would make things a little bit easier. So I'm going to lift all these pieces up because they're going to be trimmed anyway. But to get the general idea, I got plenty of hangover, so I'm going to probably add side borders before anything. Alright, here we go. I'm going to walk you down to it. Am I still here? Okay. So, imagine that top trimmed a straight line all the way across. So those tips are not there no more, okay? Imagine those just gone. Okay, so it goes way up there, those are gone, pretend. And then you come to the side. You can't see this side as well because of the lighting. So then you imagine my pillows aren't there either, obviously. Then you go to the side and you're chopping this bottom half off right here. But there is going to be this blue ocean color will be aligning that edge. That's the first border, is a 1.5 inch of that. So it will close that whole thing off. And then see, it hangs pretty far down. It's going, those pieces hang, but those are getting cut off too. So once those are cut off, there'll be a green border down there, which it'll match up, but you can't see because of the lighting, but it'll come right to this edge right here. So that's being going to get trimmed off. So there it is so far, guys. Now I just need to trim it down, which is the tricky part, because I don't want to mess up. And unfortunately, I don't think I have enough space in here. I might have to take it to my large cutting mat in the garage. So yeah, it'll have the first border with this, and then let me find the fabric that I bought for the second border. This fabric right here. Don't mind all the thread because it has to be pulled. This is the fabric on this one for the second border. And then if I do add more borders, it'll probably be one more of this. And then I will make a black, white, and gray strip, maybe. A diamond to go all the way around, made of 2.5 inch diamonds. Black, white, gray, just going all the way around the whole thing. So you guys can see my junctions here. Go straight across. That's what I was looking for. Straight across. I was looking for that to meet up in every section. So, I mean, there's a couple that are really, I mean, look at that. It's literally on the edge. So I left it after, because once I come down with it, with some quilting, you know, on that line, it's going to be gone. And I can actually probably press that one out. That one's not that bad. There's a couple on here that are really, really, really cutting it close, but see, they're perfect. That's what I'm looking for. So let me put this back up top, and I'm just going to show you because I won't be able to do it out in here, and I can't take you to the garage because the garage is still too hot for me, and I won't have better signal. So when we're cutting something like this, I typically start with the sides. My typical go-to would be the sides first. So I would take my long ruler and make sure you have a big cutting mat, you know, for this. And my first side, I would trim it beyond the point that's going to be trimmed. And I would take that 1/4 inch line right here and put that right in the tip. And I would move it and look, making sure that it lines up the 1/4 inch down here. So you're going to be moving it a lot. So once it hits that 1/4 inch on that line, that should go to the next one, and you're going to slice that right off. And then you're going to move it down and make sure the ruler lines up, you know, with the straight line. Come further down. That's why I need a bigger mat, I think, for this part. And you're going to slice that right off. And then you're going to go to the next one and slice it right off. You're going to come, make sure that is on the 1/4 inch line, meeting up right at that V. Every V junction right here at that bottom, you want that 1/4 inch line right on top of it. And then you're just going to trim it right off. And then when you get to your last piece will be right here, which ends at this. So your top will be the same thing, except on the top, you want to make sure it's the same as the sides. So on the top, you're putting that 1/4 inch line at the tip of the V junction instead. I don't know, you can't see, but on the ruler you have your lines. You put that 1/4 inch line at the tip top. I know you can see what I'm doing right here. Right here at this V junction, you want that line at that junction all the way. And you should have more than a quarter of an inch when you make it this way, because you'll have, there's almost a little over an 1, 2, it's on the second line, so that would be 2/8. Yeah, something like that. I don't know how to measure that stuff, but yeah. I'm not really good with rulers and math, you guys know this. So then we would be slicing this top off. So that would be bye-bye, bye-bye. You get where I'm going? So this I'm going to have to trim elsewhere than in here, because I don't have the space to trim it in here properly, and I don't want to mess up at all, like I said. So you should have plenty of room to get all those, and you would go all the way around the whole thing. And this is what you end up with, guys. I got to press it, and then I got to get all those strings off. I usually do that at the quilting part, but I'm going to make sure they're off before I get to quilting. So, and then it'll have that, here, I'll even lay it like this. Let's show you. We'll lay it, fold this under like that, fold this under. So imagine it ends like that, right? And then slide this in under it. Right there. It finishes it off. See how that works? And it'll be about that big, because it'll turn out an inch. It'll finish it off. And then the next border will go on. And I'm going to do a big one. I'm probably going to go at least 4 inches. Cut it at 4.5 so that it finishes at 4. So there we have it, guys. This is how it's working, and this is what's turning out. And this thing is like, you never know how much a big ton of fabric weighs until you have this big mess, you know. And I wouldn't suggest throwing it up like this, but this is how your stuff gets shredded when you're piecing and you're just throwing things everywhere. That's how you actually are shredding things. And also, when you get your borders on, when you're constantly picking it up to show people, it will stretch them, and that's how wavy borders happen. And then long armors don't like wavy borders, so for people who take their quilts to long armors, and I should know this because I've done wavy borders and they're hard to get the puckers out. So because I've always wanted, ever since I started quilting, I wanted to enter a quilt show. I wanted to do it with an art quilt made from one of my daughter's photographs. She has a bunch of paintings that she does, and she wants to do it, but she works so much and she works graveyard, so she'd have to come over this time, after midnight, and come over to work on her quilt. And art quilt wise, it's got to be a lot of applique, so that's a lot of work I would be doing, because she's the designer. So she wanted to design it, print it up from the computer on a bunch of different sheets of paper, tape them together, and make it. So, and paper piecing and applique all in one, that's just a lot of work for me. I've tried paper piecing, but my new paper piecing is this. I take magazines, and then I tear the page out, I cut it to the size I want, plus a 1/4 inch more, and then I draw something on it, and then I paper piece around the drawing. It's kind of cool, actually. So I just use magazines that I don't care about, the thinner pages, not the ones that have those smelly good cards on them. That's how I paper piece now. I just draw my own thing and kind of piece around it so that I have perfect lines. So yeah, and magazine rips off pretty easily. So that's that. I'm gonna have to get this trimmed, which I'm gonna have to wait till it's a little bit later in the middle of the night, or do it first thing tomorrow morning, because it's still hot outside. So I will get that done, get that first border on, and get everything trimmed up, and then see how big it turns out with the first border before I add a second border. And if I do add a second border, like I said, it's going to be this color one more time to seal it off. See, I have a thing for sealing off, as you can tell with all my other quilts. I like to seal in the color, because it actually brings that original design up front, and these strips push the rest back, so you want to see the diamond, so it's pushing the other color back. It's hard to explain what I see, but what I see, I can judge when I look at other quilts when I go to quilt shows, so it makes it easy for me to see how it, the illusion of how it's put together and stuff. Makes it easy for my brain to think about it, so I'll see how the first two borders go. If it overhang, I want it to overhang in full down to my this is a queen bed, so I need it to go to the bottom of the mattress, and I have a 14-inch thick mattress, so it needs to hang over that much. So anyway, I'm gonna get off, and I can talk to you off of this, Michelle, so don't worry, I can talk to you in a little bit. But for anybody else, I'm gonna get going. There's the last point that I had to make. Make sure you look at your picture that you took, so you remember how much further down, when you need to know where you need to get when you're sealing off and starting to move down, so that you do create a square. Or else, like I said, it's just going to keep piecing, and then you're going to go, what happened to the end? And it's going to create another diamond, which is what happens. It creates a big, huge diamond if you don't, you know, start angling it off again and tapering it down. So you don't want that. You want to be able to get it to where you can cut it up. And yeah. So I hope you enjoyed the last of putting this together, the piecing part of the piecing of the blocks. So the next step is the borders, which you guys know borders, so I don't think I should have to come on and explain borders for this, but I will show you how it turns out when I get to my next project. You will see my progress on this. So, and hey, if I end up machine quilting it free motion, obviously I'll make a tutorial, and on the long arm, until I get the whole recording thing down, I can't do much. I know how to use my GoPro, I know how to upload a video, but I have no idea how to edit the sound of the machine out of it and add music yet. I don't know how to do that yet, so until then, you know, we'll see what happens. But I'm Tiffany. Like and subscribe, while they didn't want to come out just now, to watch more of my videos and my quilting life. Follow along with me, and I am here just randomly whenever I feel like coming on. So for now, until I get a regular schedule going. So if you have comments, put them below, and I always respond to my comments. So take care, everyone. Have a good night.